Well, hello everyone. So I'm here, Pablo Ibanez, founder of Realsail. Happy to be here, to share with you new experiences, how the community is growing, in Realsail, how we are building, the game we want to create with the community and from the community feedback. So today we have our colleague, and the leader of the global ranking, Bill Mertens, aka Boobill. Bill, thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here. So Bill will share with us, the experience, and also, some content that you are looking for, and you're asking multiple times, and how can you use the game and the routing tools and different platforms that they are available in the internet to plan your strategy and to be competitive in the races and to win some races. Bill has won lots of races, so I think he has lots of ideas to share. How can we make it happen? So Bill, thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure. Yeah.
Oh, pleasure to be here, Pablo.
Yeah, thank you very much. So first of all, I would like to ask you, first of all, just to share some ideas of how you are seeing the platform, how you are seeing Realsail in the last months. Which is your experience with your feelings, and also just to invite other skippers, that other colleagues that are sailing, virtually to join us, join the community, and feel the sailing with us, Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been good. We're seeing the community grow. We're seeing, entrants coming in from different parts of the world. It truly is a global experience. And that's part of that's part of the fun. I mean, the Discord channel is fairly active, and you're conversing with people from all over the world, which is great to see. The game's been very stable lately. um, there's you're constantly having to manage things, particularly with the growth and with the growth internationally. I know you're doing a lot of work just to make sure that people are seeing equal access and speeds, no matter where in the globe they are.
Yeah.
And I know nothing about that plumbing, but I'm sure it's quite a job. But you're doing a great job at it. So as long as we continue to see growth, growth in the fleets, and the race calendar is almost a bit too much now. I mean, I kind of have a 2 race strict limit, and we've got the GGR going on, which is going to take about 9 months. So, for 9 months, that basically means I'm doing 1 race at a time. So, and that then means I'm doing maybe 1 out of 5 races right now. So
Yeah.
there's opportunity for people to get in there and win races and rack up some points.
So, and also we are seeing, lots of communities, e-sailing communities, from other platforms that are, joining us, and also those communities are willing to create new races and to build races in different spots, in the world, and having these communities bringing other skippers together, to Realsail. I think that's really, 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 really good, having those communities joining us. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's great. And, I'll spend my evening talking to some guy in Australia in his morning now. And, it's kind of a neat aspect.
Yeah, sure it is, Well, thank you very much, Bill. So maybe we can start, and you can share with us, which is your day by day. I mean, how do you use, all these kind of platforms that you usually use to plan your strategy, to find out which is the best, strategy for we were the different Meteo coming, the pressures and so on. So maybe you can share with us, how do you usually plan your strategy in one race? We are running, now the race which is in the Middle East, is in Bahrain to Jeddah, and maybe you can have this race as a reference, and you can share with them how do you plan this strategy? How was your plan when you started the race? in advance, trying to say, okay, in advance I will use these platforms, and trying to define which will be the road. And also I found, when you were sailing in this race in the Bahrain Jeddah, I found that sometimes you went south and the fleet went going north, So I don't know why you took this decision, and it's good to understand, how do you manage these tactics, and I think that's the power that you are using, to win the races, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that little move south, going around just before the Straits of Hormuz, that didn't work out very well for me.
I mean,
Sent me
but it
back
was,
a few miles.
yeah.
But I mean, tactically, I'm always looking for a way to separate myself from the fleet. This is one design racing. All the boats are equal. You're not just going to go blasting by somebody on the water, particularly if you fall behind. If you just follow someone, well, you're just going to follow them. So if you want to create, to leap, you're going to have to create some separation and sail a different route than other people. So I use a variety of different tools. I throw different grid sources at it. One of the things that I've been pretty open about is that although the game runs on the GFS grid model, I have found ECMWF, which is the European model, 2 days out, 3 days out. I mean, that forecast is a better predictor of where GFS is going to be in 2 days. So I mix my grids in QTVLM, where I'll use GFS for the first 24 hours and then ECMWF afterwards. And sometimes that leads to dramatically different routes. We did one a few months ago from Honolulu to Rapa Nui, and there were basically the fleet split into 3 packs, and there was 1,000 miles or more between boats. And my general strategy was get south, get into the Roaring 40s, and then come up at Rapa Nui from the south. I just head south as quick as I could, and I had routing to support that, and it worked. Anyways, that's the kind of stuff that I find fun. I mean, just finding separation somewhere.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, Realsail is more like a strategy game, So we have this random, which is the wind forecast and the wind, real wind that we have in the world, And this is a random parameter that we have to look into it, try to predict it using the predictive platform that we have, to find out where it will go, the winds, And I think it's a strategy plan, a strategy game, and also we use this game, you can use the routing tools on the game, so they can help you with these algorithms that they have, to help you on these decisions, trying to understand what will be the future of the winds and where will they come, and also try to define, So we have different platforms for routing. No, we are using in Realsail the embedded router, which is the BitSailor router. This BitSailor router is built by our colleague Hartak. Is one of all the classics in the e-sailing, and built. I think he built the VR dashboard also. And BitSailor is like embedded router, but also he has an online router, which is more like a website where you can find more long or more extended for route. Sorry. And also many of skippers are using QTLM also for the routing. So we have this kind of NIMIA feed in the game, that we can share, with the routing tools, the boat speed, the TWA, TWS, and all the ACE information about all the different skippers that we are following and so on. So we can send with this NIMIA feed to the routing tool this information, and then in the routing tool, in the QTLM, or any other Avalon or any other expedition or whatever, you can get this feed, and then plan your strategy with this routing tool. So you have different kind of possibilities to to use them, and also to plan your strategy. So you can I don't know if you use multiple of them, to define your strategy build. I mean, are you using different platforms for the planning this, or yeah?
Yeah, I generally my long-term, long-range routing QTVLM, because it allows me to put different grids in. And I've tried and worked with a lot. So I'll run a routing using just straight GFS. I'll run a routing, with ECMWF, from 24 days out in there. And I've tried different predict wind and different grid sources, just trying to find which has the best results. And, I do kind of track, the history, looking back, sort of at the end of the race, but which one of these forecasts actually turned out to be the closest to realized? And I've sort of converged into ECMWF now as being hands down the best.
I see. Great to see. So maybe you can share your screen and you can share, how do you manage those routing tools, and how can you how do you use them? Is that good for you? So you can share your screen and give us just a highlight of how can we use those tools, and in order to plan the strategy and to and be competitive.
I think you've got screen sharing disabled.
Okay, let me check. So I can put in host. Okay, now it should be okay for you. Yeah.
Okay. How do I share the whole screen? Oh,
the desktop, I think you have there,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see the whole screen?
Yeah, I can see it, yeah.
All right. How do I get the thing up at the top? Oh, there it goes. All right, so here's the Bahrain race that's going on right now. So we started over here in Bahrain and we finish in Jeddah in about a week and a half from now. This one has been painfully slow. The winds in the Persian Gulf, I mean, we've been sailing in 2-3 knots a lot of the time and swirling. So it's really been quite a challenge. And the routing has been both critical, because if you're not kind of predicting what's going to be going on ahead of you, you end up going backwards. But at the same time, it's not been conclusive, because when the winds are that light, things can really change. So anyways, just to demonstrate some of the routing tools, starting, I guess, with the easiest, which is the embedded. It just knows where your boat is, and you just set a destination. So you just open it up here. And by the way, this is just part of the regular subscription. If you're a subscriber to the game, you get this tool. It's not something you have to pay extra for. And you just click here.
You can go and take a walk, water or something like that. Yeah, Bill?
Oh, I've had a little bit of a cold all week.
I see. Okay.
So, so you just click on the screen where you want to route to. In this case, there's no point in routing all the way to the destination. In fact, the router won't get there because it doesn't go around corners very well. So I'm just aiming for the tip of Oman there.
Yeah.
And then you just hit calculate route. All right. And each one of these isochrones, this is important. There's a lot of people just generate the route and then just follow that line. But each one of those white lines is an isochrone. So that is how the router has calculated. That's how the router has calculated. Each one of those lines represents a point in space that you could reach at equal time. So, I think each one of these is probably an hour.
An hour, yeah.
Yeah. And, in 3 hours from now, you could be at any point along that line. And then, so obviously it does that every hour out until the first isochrone reaches the destination, and then it remembers the path that got you to that point and then draws that line.
Yeah.
So you can see here that, if you're up in this area, the lines get very compressed. So there's going to be a dead spot that you want to avoid, which is why the routing kind of comes down and drops along the coast. And you can see there's also going to be a real slow bit here, but it looks like it's going to be all the way across the course. Sometimes you'll see mounds with a trough in the middle, and that indicates that's your clue that, hey, there's two possible routes here that both perform very well. The router is going to pick the one that it thinks is going to be the winner, but you could try to force it by changing your destination a little bit to take the other one if you want. So that's why, I don't just, run a route and then sail it. I always like to kind of take a look at the isochrones and try to interpret them. So that's as simple to use as can be. And in fact, you've even put a new feature in, which I advise people to avoid if you want to be super competitive. But that is, it'll actually create waypoints. You just click this and boom, it'll generate waypoints between all those routing nodes.
Yeah.
The problem is the router intends you to sail a true wind angle between those points, and that's just going to generate straight lines. So you're not going to be sailing at optimal angles. But for somebody who's kind of just getting started and just wants it to be easy, it really couldn't be any easier than that. So BitSailor also has a browser version, which right now Hardtack is not charging for this. You just have to create an account. And it's got a little bit more features, like you can do forward routing. So that's actually maybe something interesting. So we could route ourselves I'm going to set the destination to the same place. And then you can see it generates the same route that the embedded did. But here's a cool little feature with this one. We can see what time we're going to get to the destination, and that is going to be at 12:30 on the 21st. And now I'm going to set this as the start, and I'm going to set the start time. And I'm going to set my destination at the entrance.
Okay, you can plan all the course, right?
Yeah. Right. So and that I already know because I did routing this morning. It's going to take us 8 days. There you go. And so that's what it's going to look like after we round the Horn of Oman, and you can hover over each one of these and see what the expected speed, wind angle is going to be. And the good news is it looks like the winds get up around 10 knots, which is going to be a relief because we have literally been sailing in 3-4 knots all the way through the Persian Gulf.
Mm.
And it looks like, for the most part, we're just going to be jibing down the coast. And looking out here at the isochrones, there really doesn't look like there's a divergent route available, because it's just like a ladder going down the coast there. So, but I would be looking at that to see if there was another route, like if there was a bulge in the isochrones out here, where sailing out and off the coast might give advantage. So. And then the third tool I use is QTVLM, which works pretty much the same way.
You said the you know, in the, yeah, that's right, you know, so you said the NEMEA TCP port, right, to connect to the game, you know, and then you get the NEMEA feed from the game, you know, and you use it for the positions and for the ACE information, right?
Yeah, so for BitSailor here, I just put my port number in here, hit connect, hit update, and it moves the start to wherever the current position of my boat is. So you don't have to manually transfer the latitude and longitude. And QTVLM has the same thing, so it knows where my boat is. The nice thing about QTVLM is it also has AIS, so I can see where all the other boats in the fleet are. And I get a nice, you know, predicted line here, so I can see, you know, I always have mine set for 6 hours, so I can basically see, you know, at my current wind angle, what the path would be for the next 6 hours. Now, obviously, I'm not going to sail that wind angle. I'm going to bear off a little bit here as soon as we finish this call, I think.
Yeah.
But I've set a destination here and create a routing. And it always wants to make the routing color something strange that almost perfectly matches the background.
And which grips are you using in QTVLM, Bill?
Yeah, so the nice thing about QTVLM is it has 3 different grid slots. Oh, yeah, see, I haven't, my ECMWF is not covering this. It's not covering this part of the coast.
Okay.
So let's delete that and start over. And so I've been using, I'm on my laptop here, and I've been using it for the GGR, where we're down here in the Southern Indian Ocean right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna, this is predict wind. So I'm gonna ask for a 100 kilometer or 1 degree ECMWF grid, and I'm just gonna download that. And close that down because that is a CPU suck. Good. Now I've got an ECMWF. I'm just going to do this again.
Oh yeah. So you are getting more south with this. Yeah. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. And you can see it's coming up with a virtually identical routing to what the GFS, what BitSailor came up with. So, you know, I'm always looking for differences between the two. And you'll notice here another neat feature obviously, if you run the embedded router, it puts a KML on the screen that you can follow, but I can also import a KML of my finished routing from QTVLM, and I can import those in, and you can see how the two of them line up. They're not that much different. I'm just going to be running a little bit inside the rest of the fleet here, which that did not help me last night because I actually lost some ground. It's been better to be on the north side of the fleet. But we'll see. I do tend to be a little bit committed to my process. I've kind of got this refined now, how I do things. I've got a routine. We 4 weather updates a day, which for me, the weather files become available to download, at 4:40 a.m. And I am up and out of bed and sitting at my computer at 4:40 a.m. Just about every morning.
Yeah.
And then, well, the nice thing, because it's Saturday, I was able to go back to bed after that. I didn't have to then go to work.
Yeah.
And then 10:40 in the morning, and then 5 or 4:40 in the afternoon, and 10:40 in the evening. And it actually only takes me about 5 minutes to, because I've just got such a system now, how I download my files, merge my files, set up my QTVLM, run the whole thing, optimize, do my analysis, and then program my boat. And in most cases, I can just leave it, walk away for 6 hours and come back for the next weather update. If I'm sitting at home in the evening, or even if I'm in my office at work, I've got it running in the background. I'm keeping an eye on it. But the real work is maybe a half an hour, split across 4 different weather updates each 24 hours. And no matter where you are in the world, at least one of those is going to happen at an inconvenient time. But that's what it is. And if you want to be competitive,
Yeah.
you're going to have to make a bit of a commitment. And
Sure. And we found that most of you're using similar routing tools. So how can you compete against other skippers that are using the same tools? I mean, sometimes we see the fleet following a similar road, but sometimes you get it as the leader of the fleet. So there are some sailing techniques to become maybe trying to not the defining the strategy, but also the being the fleet and trying to get behind others, or in front of others. So how do you manage that? I mean, yeah.
I've I've always got a view on sailing tactics. Like I said, I don't like to follow people. I don't mind if they follow me, because this is one design. You can't sail past someone. You've got to sail around them. You got to find another route. So, studying and interpreting those isochrones to see other route possibilities, and then adjusting parameters, adjusting the destination. One of the things that QTVLM allows you to do, I'll get this out of the way. So you can see here that if you just hover when you've got your isochrones drawn, it'll show the path to get to that point where my cursor is. So let's do something fun here and say, okay, I want to sail out there. I just want to, get out, get off the coast, because I think we're actually going to have more wind out there. And then
create a pivot point there.
It will then create a new route, which goes to the pivot point that I've indicated. And then creates a new route from that pivot point to the destination. So there I've just created a completely divergent route.
Yeah.
That's not one I would take, but that's how you do it.
Yeah, yeah, and you find a different course, you know, to follow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, Bill, thank you very much. I mean, I think those ideas are really, really useful for the community because most of them, they don't know how to manage routing tools, or maybe they haven't used QTVLM before, you know. So having this information is really useful for the community so they can tune the QTVLM and also use the BitSailor to find out the routes, you know. And also, you know, this information about the shock runs and try to get, you know, these valleys in the shock run and this, you know, what you are seeing the ladders and so on. I think it's really useful to find out which would be the best course, you know, to follow and so on. So yeah, that's a good point, you know. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I think it's time to get ready for the next weather update.
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it. Okay, thank you very much, Bill, for your time. You know, I'm happy to have you here, and let's continue sailing in Realsail. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy.
Thank you. Bye.